Hi, this is Dr. Kelly Mulhern from Thrive Wellness Center, and today we're going to talk about 10 supplements that you can consider to support your immune system and protect your body naturally. Obviously, I've been getting a lot of questions recently with COVID-19. Boosting your immune system or supporting your immune system is super critical because it's the health of your immune system that really determines if you catch something and how serious the illness becomes. So protecting your immune system and supporting it as best as you can is something that you have a lot of control over. Maybe just need a little bit of direction. So again, Dr. Kelly Mulhern with Thrive Wellness Center. In our office, we do functional medicine, regenerative medicine, IV nutrition, deep tissue laser therapy, chiropractic care, physiotherapy, anything we can do to help people stay happier and healthier. Now, a little bit about my background. Dr. Kelly Mulhern, you can see I've got some alphabet soup after my name. I've been a member of the Foundation for Wellness Professionals for quite some time. So what that means is I'm a volunteer with this 501c3 nonprofit organization that is dedicated and committed to educating our communities and people in those communities about health and wellness and options that they have. By professional training, I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and I also have a master's degree in public health with a concentration in epidemiology. Now, sometimes I get asked, what does that mean? That means I spent almost 2 years postdoctoral studying things like infectious diseases, epidemics, pandemics, viruses, bacteria, all that fun stuff. And that makes me maybe a little bit better suited than the average person on the street to talk about things that are affecting our world today, like COVID-19. So that's a little bit more about that background. I'm currently enrolled in a postdoctoral certification in functional medicine. And one of the things that's not on here that I always try to mention is my mission. And my mission is to help as many people as possible be happier, healthier, have lives free of pain and suffering with little to no medical intervention necessary, meaning drugs and surgery. I have yet to meet somebody who, if they could be happy and healthy without drugs and surgery, I have yet to meet someone who would prefer drugs and surgery. So anyhow, that's my guiding mission, and I work towards that through my private practice in the Tampa Bay area, as well as through my work as a volunteer with the Foundation for Wellness Professionals. Now, I do have some obligatory disclaimers because we are going to be talking about supplementation. None of the information presented in this discussion are intended to replace medical advice. If you are curious or concerned about your immune health, you should definitely work with a qualified healthcare professional who is well-versed, well-trained, well-educated in the topics of holistic health, nutrition, supplementation. Not all supplements are created the same. Not all doctors are created the same. So really finding the person that you can trust to help guide you on this path is of critical importance. Every supplement we go through may not be appropriate for each person out there, and it is not recommended that you try to take everything all at once that I mention in today's presentation. So I'm going to try to cover 10 supplements that I sometimes recommend for immune support. Some of them, we're going to start with some pretty common ones that you've probably heard of before and may already be taking, but I really wanted to shift my focus to ones that you probably haven't heard of before that can be really powerful. So we're just going to dive right in. First one, vitamin D3. Probably the most important, in my opinion, vitamin for immune support, partially because its role it's actually considered a hormone as well because it has so much importance in our body. With D3, I recommend a liquid format because it's so much easier for our bodies to absorb and assimilate and metabolize. For immune support, I typically start out at 5,000 to 10,000 international units. If you're going to be taking D3 for a long term, we have to monitor your blood levels because it can build up to toxic levels. My favorite is Bio-D-Emulsion Forte by Biotics Research down in the lower right corner. It's easy because every drop is 2 international units. And so you can modify the dosage really easily, and it tastes like sesame seeds. So just a real mild sesame flavor, easy to take. Next one is vitamin C. Again, vitamin C, something just about everybody knows about, probably most people take in some form or another. For a therapeutic dose, you can take up to 5 to 7 grams, even up to 10 grams, really, as long as you stay within bowel tolerance. That can be very hard to do orally. So in our office, we will do high doses of vitamin C via IV. Say that 4 times fast, by IV. And that way we can get, 5 or 10 grams, which would be 5 to 10,000 milligrams, without having to worry about bowel tolerance. Bowel tolerance is simply the digestive irritation that can happen if we take too much vitamin C at one time, usually results in diarrhea or loose stools. So to avoid that, if you're taking it orally, I recommend 500 milligrams about every 2 hours that you're awake. Don't wake up in the middle of the night and disrupt your sleep to take it. And of course, if you start to have loose stools, then, skip a dose or two. My favorite is a liposomal vitamin C because of the ease by which our cells can absorb that and use it. I love Designs for Health for this. But one caution, if you have a genetic G6PD deficiency, then you cannot do high doses of vitamin C. If you're not sure, then that's something, and you're concerned about that, that is something you should be tested for. One little side note on supplementation that's really important to talk about is, well, what the heck are we doing when we're talking about supplementation? It used to be, or we would, in an ideal world, would be able to get all of our vitamins, minerals, and nutrients through the food that we consume. My opinion is that in today's world, we have destroyed our soil, we have poisoned our oceans, our food has really gone down in terms of nutritional quality. So to that end, I no longer believe that people can get adequate nutrition solely from food. So therefore, supplementation may be required. But when we're talking about supplements, there's a few key features of supplements that we need to look at. The first one is digestibility. So when we take that supplement, whether it's a pill, a tablet, a capsule, a caplet, a liquid, a sublingual, can our body break it down? So if our body can't break it down, it's just going to pass through our body unchanged. So for example, there are several different types of calcium. One form of calcium is virtually chalk. So imagine if you were taking a calcium supplement that used that form of calcium, your body can't digest chalk, so it's just going to pass right through and be excreted in your bowel movement. So it's really done you no good. So first it has to be digestible. So we digest it and then we're able to break it down into smaller parts. The next step is it has to be absorbable. So once we take food and our stomach kind of churns it and starts digesting it, breaks it down into little teeny tiny pieces, then it goes to our intestines. From our intestines, those nutrients get absorbed through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. So if the supplement we took is digestible and we can break it down into small parts, but those small parts are not easily absorbed, then essentially we're going to be getting rid of the supplement via urination, defecation, etc., because our body couldn't take it out of transit and put it into play in the bloodstream. The third step is once it's in the bloodstream, so it's been digested and it's been absorbed, is it bioavailable? And essentially that means, do your cells know what to do with it? Because it doesn't do your cells any good to take a form of the vitamin or the mineral or the supplement that the body's just not wired to use properly. A good example of this is a lot of people have heard of CoQ10. CoQ10 is fantastic for brain health and immune health and all kinds of other things, but the better form of CoQ10 for adults in terms of bioavailability is called ubiquinol. And most people have never heard of ubiquinol. So that's just one example. So those are the three really important factors when we're talking about supplementation that we have to pay attention to. So again, I encourage you to work with somebody who really understands this information to that level of detail. Third supplement on the list is zinc. Zinc is getting a lot of attention right now with COVID-19. It plays a huge role in supporting our body's defense. It also helps us absorb the B vitamins. So again, if they're just floating around and we can't get them into our bloodstream, they don't do us any good, but zinc helps with that. Now, zinc itself can be very difficult to absorb into the body. So again, taking the proper form of zinc is really, really important. Zinc studies have shown over and over and over again that zinc can reduce the intensity of a viral infection or a bacterial infection or illness. It can also reduce the duration of symptoms, but you have to take it as soon as you start feeling poorly. One thing I will mention is kind of inferior quality zinc will oftentimes leave you with a stomach ache. So if you've taken zinc in the past and it gives you a stomach ache, don't give up on zinc. Try a better form. I like pure encapsulations, and I also really like the Z-enzyme forte, the zinc zyme forte through probiotics. So zinc works by disrupting primarily the virus's ability to copy itself. And if the virus can't replicate, you have fewer viruses in your system, meaning your viral load is less. So you will have less symptoms and less duration typically. Now, in terms of COVID, a month or two ago, there was a lot of talk about chloroquine, which is or hydrochloroquine, the Plaquenil, as being effective to treat COVID-19 patients. And one of the interesting things is that chloroquine and those other derivatives can increase the absorption of zinc from the bloodstream into individual cells. And that's part of why we thought that maybe it would help reduce COVID-19 sickness. That has not proven out at this point. But another important thing to mention in terms specifically of COVID-19 is we really don't have all the data yet. So without good data, it's hard to make any accurate statements about that. The next supplement on the list for immune health is black elderberry. Probably the most popular brand is Sambucol. They do a really good job with quality control and consistency of their product. And black elderberry also disrupts the virus's ability to replicate. And this is typically consumed in a liquid form, almost like a cough syrup, in a lozenge form. But there are other formats out there. But black elderberry, kind of an old natural remedy that actually really works, and science has now shown us how. So very interesting. So now we're starting into the ones that you may not have heard of before. Glutathione is a very powerful antioxidant. It's actually known as the master antioxidant. It is going to help all of your other antioxidants work better. So if you're taking vitamin C, if you're taking CoQ10 or ubiquinol, vitamin E, selenium, those kind of antioxidants, glutathione helps them stay around longer, helps maximize their ability to do their job, and otherwise supports the body. However, dietary forms can be really hard to absorb. So the reduced form is the one I recommend. It's the more bioactive or bioavailable. So a liposomal format of that is great as well. Next on the list is L-lysine. Lysine supports the production of protein to repair and promote the growth of cells throughout your body. Super cool. If we didn't have L-lysine, our cells would just degenerate and then they would die off and they wouldn't be able to repair themselves or to propagate new ones. So it would ultimately, a lack of L-lysine would be very disruptive to the body in a lot of ways. We've been using this for quite some time for antiviral uses with herpes simplex viruses. So cold sores and shingles can respond well to L-lysine. So L-lysine really important just for the growth and repair of all cells in general in your body, and does seem to have some antiviral properties. Next one is N-acetylcysteine, or NAC. This one I mentioned particularly because of the respiratory impact. It can thin the mucus, and if we can thin the mucus out, it can decrease the risk of developing severe bronchitis or pneumonia after a simple respiratory issue. It can also decrease the risk of certain infections. I have not yet seen any research regarding NAC with COVID-19 in particular, but just in general, I thought this would be a good one to mention for those that might be having, seasonal allergies, or maybe they have chronic bronchitis, and this could be something that could maybe help protect their lungs a little bit from developing further bronchitis, pneumonia, and putting them at greater risk for kind of an opportunistic COVID infection. You're already down and then it attacks you on top of it. Next one is lipoic acid, or alpha lipoic acid. And this one is so cool. Again, it's another antioxidant that also helps promote the ability of the other antioxidants to work. So again, vitamin C, vitamin E work really well with lipoic acid, but it can activate our intracellular antimicrobial programs, meaning it can activate the wiring, if you will, in our cells that knows how to destroy microbes. By doing this, it helps to limit the spread of viruses. It can also enhance our kind of inborn and our adaptive or developing immunity. It will increase our natural killer cells, which, just like they sound, they're the assassins of our immune system. And it can increase our memory cells. And the memory cells, those are the ones that remember which antibody killed which invader. And so the next time you're exposed to that invader, your body doesn't have to try to go through the process all over again. It just remembers right away, how do we kill this invader? So lipoic acid can help increase those. So really excellent choice. Number 9 on the list is quercetin or quercetin. I've heard it pronounced both ways, tomato. One thing about this, though, is it may react with calcium channel blockers, immune suppressive drugs. So if somebody is on immune suppressive medication, say post-transplant, then this would not be a good option for them. It can also react with estradiol. So if somebody is on a hormone protocol, then they may want to look twice at this. It is a flavanol that is found in elderberry. So if you remember black elderberry that we talked about a few slides ago, this is kind of a derivative. It is antioxidant and it is antiviral. It interferes with the ability of a virus to get into the cell. On a previous presentation, I talked about viruses and how they work, but just a brief summary: the virus attaches to the outside of the cell, it hijacks the cell's insides and kind of rewires the cell to start making, instead of other proteins or enzymes, it starts pumping out copies of the virus until the cell gets so full it ruptures, and then all those little viruses go infect other cells. So this inhibits the virus's ability to infect a cell, and if a cell's already infected, it inhibits replication inside those cells, and it reduces the infected cell's resistance to treatment. So sometimes when a cell gets infected with a virus, the virus has kind of protective mechanisms that make it so that the antiviral medication can't find it, doesn't work. And so this actually addresses that, which is really neat. I love quercetin so much that I use it quite a bit. Here are some human studies that I took off of Mercola.com. And I'm not going to read them all, but you can kind of look through. But it boosts everything from exercise-stressed athletes. It can reduce oxidative stress, can boost mental performance, and it protects, the very last bullet, it protects against a broad spectrum of pathogens, including rhinoviruses, adenoviruses, and coronaviruses. Now, I will again make the caveat, I don't know of any official studies yet that have compared this or used this directly to treat COVID-19, but COVID-19 is a coronavirus. I just don't know of any direct studies at this time. Number 10, probiotics. Supporting your microbiome or your gut is super duper important because 80% of your immune system lives in your gut. If you don't have a healthy gut, then your immune system is crippled out the gate. So supporting the microbiome, you might have heard of probiotics, prebiotics, that kind of thing. That's really important for immune health. And you can see a couple of my favorite brands on the screen. Now, oftentimes I'll make a recommendation to a patient about a specific supplement and the brand, and they'll say, well, I'm just going to go to Amazon, or I'm going to go to some third-party retailer. Never, 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 please never go to a third-party retail or a big box store for substances that are this important that you're going to put in or on your body to affect a change. Yes, you can buy them cheaper there, but you do not know what you're getting. Remember I mentioned calcium and that some formats are essentially chalk? If you're going to Sam's or Target and you're paying, $5 for a 2-gallon vat of something, you can be guaranteed it is not going to be highly digestible, absorbable, and or bioavailable. So really important that if you're going to supplement and you're going to invest your money, spend the money, have fewer supplements, but make sure the ones that you're taking are good. Now, the supplement industry is not regulated, so you can't necessarily trust the the advertisements that you see, which is why I always recommend that people go to a healthcare professional for supplements that are only obtained through a healthcare professional. That way there is some quality control and a reputation to go behind it. And one other thing to mention is some of those third-party retailers, we won't name any names, but some of those third-party retailers have had many, many, many cases of counterfeit supplements where people paid top dollar for a brand name of a supplement, but it was essentially they just took a cheap one and rebottled it. The third-party retailer did. So if you're going to do it, please, please, please go to somebody you trust. So here is a screenshot of our website. You can see the URL at the bottom, thrivewellcenter.com. Up on the upper left-hand side under products, if you hit the supplements page, it takes you to this portal through fullscript. Now, fullscript is really cool because it's an online portal that is free for me to use, and it's free for a patient to create an account. And through there, I can make recommendations for specific products by different brands, and send it direct to the patient. The patient can then decide what they want and place their order. It gets delivered right to their house. So they don't have to run from store to store to store. I don't have to carry lots of inventory because that's, at the end of the day, I am not in the supplement industry. I'm in the health and wellness industry. So fullscript is great for that. And fullscript makes their money through the nutraceutical companies that are a part of their catalog. And last time I looked, they had over 400 companies that are really high grade. So that just gives you kind of a look into that. And finally, here is a slide that has my contact information. I'm here as a resource. If I can do anything to help or answer any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can see my email address there, and I will just note that I spell my first name with 2 E's. So if you send an email to Dr. Kelly and you don't get a response, double check your spelling. And again, our website has tons of information. We're constantly adding and updating. So that about wraps up today's presentation on supplements to help support your immune system. I hope you found the information useful and decide to take advantage of our special offer. And this is Dr. Kelly Mulhern from Thrive Wellness Center, where we believe your body is designed to thrive.